In today's episode, Carl asks, are there risks associated with ChatGPT churning out misinformation, and how should marketers address that risk? Are there risks associated with Microsoft Word churning out misinformation? Of course. These are just tools. These are just appliances. And yeah, ChatGPT and artificial intelligence systems are capable of doing more than, say, a regular word processor. But at the end of the day, it's still just a tool, right? You buy the fanciest, air fryer on the market that has all this AI built into it and stuff. It's still just going to sit there on the counter unless you put food in it and program it to do something, right? It's still got to do the thing, but you have to be the one to initiate it. You can absolutely use ChatGPT or any large language model to crank out pretty much any kind of content. There are restrictions built into OpenAI's tools that try to prevent the most egregious misuses, the most egregious actors that are have a malicious intent, but people who are going to be really skilled at misinformation and disinformation campaigns are not going to be using the off-the-shelf version of these tools anyway. They're going to grab an open source model that is free to everyone, and they're going to fine-tune it for their specific use case. If their specific use case is undermining the democracy of, the Idaho state legislature, just as an example, they will tune that tool to do that, right? And for the players in the market who are truly malicious actors, who are truly hostile powers, they've got the budget and the people and the technology and the data to be able to afford to build their own models and stuff. They're not going to use ChatGPT. They're not going to use OpenAI. The reality is that smaller open source models, if you learn how to fine tune them properly, can easily beat the big public models for specific tasks for which you train them. So someone who wants to undermine democracy or spread misinformation about vaccines or whatever, they're going to be able to do that really easily with a custom tuned model. And because those custom models you can run on like a gaming laptop, there's going to be no oversight. And then no way for a company like Microsoft or Google or OpenAI to look over your shoulder and go, wow, you really shouldn't be doing that with that. That's what's, the bigger challenge that we're all going to have to face. People who use an off-the-shelf product to churn out misinformation are kind of the amateurs. Right? They're not going to cause serious harm. The people who are going to cause serious harm are the ones who have the backing of a hostile government or a hostile non-governmental organization with deep pockets. And they're going to build these things behind closed doors. You're not going to know about it. And they're going to be very, very successful at what they do. This has been the case for decades, right? This has been the case since the internet became public. There have always been bad actors. There have always been scammers. There have always been people using the internet and trying to manipulate perception and opinion. It's easier now. It scales better now, but it's the exact same thing it's always been. So what should marketers do to address that risk? Well, A, don't churn out misinformation, right? It seems funny saying it to our profession, but try not lying, right? Try telling the truth, because A, it's a whole lot easier to defend in court, and B, you don't need to go jump through nearly as many hoops, right? If you'll have one set of data that you're working with, which is the truth, you don't have to create distorted versions of that to fit a specific narrative you're trying to tell. Otherwise, the other thing that marketers should be thinking about is ethics. Ethics. You do what you say you're going to do, right? You say you're going to do X, you do that thing. And right now, there's not a lot of marketers who are in the place, or have the power to do that within their organizations, or choose not to because it conflicts with their own interests, right? To say that your product is second best in the market, right? Very few companies can pull off that campaign. Very few companies are willing to say, yeah, we're not the best. We're working on improving. And so should marketers be concerned about misuse of ChatGPT? Not really. Should marketers be concerned about ChatGPT in general? Also not really. What they should be concerned about is how do they use these tools to improve their own marketing, aligned with the ethics and whatever your morals are, whatever your values are, so that you use these tools in the best way possible. So it's a good question. It's a good question, and it's important that people ask this question. I don't want to seem dismissive of it. It's important that people be asking what could go wrong at every turn and with every technology out there, so that you're prepared for that. So it's a good question. Thanks for asking. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.